This is Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, and I am looking at NHL futures for the upcoming NHL hockey season. Yes, it's only a couple of weeks away. The season begins on October 12th. That's when the puck drops. In this video, we're going to look at Eastern Conference futures that may be worth a look. We're going to take a look at odds to win the Metropolitan Division and odds to win the Atlantic Division, as well as the Eastern Conference as a whole, and as well the Stanley Cup, because a lot of the teams that I think have a chance to win these divisions, they may also be worthy of a look in terms of winning the conference and even the Stanley Cup as well. So let's begin by looking at the Atlantic Division first here in the Eastern Conference. As current odds as listed at Bookmaker Chris. That's what I'm going to use for the current odds in terms of division futures, conference futures, and to win the Stanley Cup. In the Atlantic Division, we've got Tampa Bay currently plus 141, the favorite to win the Atlantic Division. The Montreal Canadiens plus 252, same with the Florida Panthers. After that, it is the Boston Bruins plus 1231, Detroit Red Wings plus 1548, Buffalo Sabres 26-1. You've got the Ottawa Senators 33-1, and then of course the Toronto Maple Leafs rounding out the Atlantic Division 50-1 in terms of winning the Atlantic Division. As far as I'm concerned, sometimes you want to make a case for the dark horse teams, but I think it makes a lot of sense here to go chalk, and I'm talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning plus 141. I think they stand out like a sore thumb as the clear-cut favorite to win the Atlantic Division. I know Florida's getting a lot of respect for all the young talent they have. You know, the fact that they got James Reimer to be a capable, solid backup to Roberto Luongo this year, that gives Luongo maybe a chance to have a few more games to rest, not have to play as many games this season. Lots to like with that Florida team. But I also think they may be in tough to duplicate the success they had last year. And Montreal's getting a lot of, I guess, not hype, but given a solid opportunity to win the Atlantic Division as well, based on the fact that, Carey Price is healthy again. They get Shea Weber at the trade deadline, or they trade for Shea Weber in the offseason. Huge trade with the Nashville Predators where they trade PK Subban away. Although Montreal, to me, if Carey Price isn't healthy and Shea Weber doesn't bounce back from what I thought was a very subpar year for him in Nashville, let's be honest. I mean, in that San Jose series against Nashville, Shea Weber was a liability at times. He was out of position. He was on the ice for a lot of goals against. Just looked a little bit slow. And you just worry that, as he keeps getting older, he's in his 30s now, how many good years as an elite-level NHL defenseman does Shea Weber have left? So there's a lot of concern, and Shea Weber's got to play well. There's pressure on him to play well. A lot of Montreal Canadiens fans not happy to see PK Subban traded. So a lot of pressure on Montreal. I think you throw the Canadiens out the window in terms of winning this division if A, Carey Price doesn't stay healthy, and B, Shea Weber doesn't have a much better season. I think if those two things don't happen for Montreal, they don't have a shot, as far as I'm concerned, of winning this division. But if Weber bounces back, has a great year, Carey Price stays healthy, and if he does stay healthy, we know he's capable of being one of, if not the best goaltender in the world. Montreal's got a chance, but I can't see it being anyone but the Tampa Bay Lightning. I still think they've got the most complete team in this division. I would recommend them at plus 141. Not great odds, obviously, because they have been priced accordingly as the best team in this division on paper. But I would still look at Tampa Bay. I'd also look at Tampa Bay to win the Eastern Conference. That's definitely something that's worth a look as well. Plus 484, the current price with them to win the East. And obviously the Stanley Cup as well. This is no doubt Tampa Bay, a Stanley Cup contender this season as far as I'm concerned. So Tampa Bay plus 1,006. Just over 10-1 to win the Stanley Cup this season. Definitely something might be worth a consideration as well. Let's move on to the Metropolitan Division here in the Eastern Conference. Pretty much you've got your big, I guess, two at the top, the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals. Penguins defending Stanley Cup champions. Washington, a team that many people thought would win the Stanley Cup for the majority of last season before Pittsburgh picked them off in the playoffs. Washington, a slight favorite to win this division over Pittsburgh. Washington plus 123, Pittsburgh plus 190, and then there's a big gap after that. I mean, you got the Islanders in that plus 464 range and the Rangers plus 855. Flyers plus 1089, and then after that you've got Columbus plus 4,000, New Jersey plus 4,019, and Carolina plus 10,000 in terms of winning the Metropolitan Division. So there's a huge drop-off once you get from the first 3, 4, 5 teams and then the bottom of that Metro Division. To me, Pittsburgh and Washington are going to be the teams battling for this division as far as I'm concerned. I think it's Pittsburgh, Washington, and Tampa Bay, the 3 clear-cut best teams in the Eastern Conference going into this season, and then it's everybody else. You've got those 3 elite teams at the top, and then after that you've got a bunch of good, mediocre, average, and below average, and in a lot of cases bad teams after that. I think Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, and Washington, they are hands down to me better, and in their own group, I guess you could say, in their own level, compared to the rest of the Eastern Conference as far as I'm concerned. And for that reason, I would probably only look to Pittsburgh and Washington in this division to win it. I think the Islanders and the Flyers are the 2 teams with a dark horse chance. I mean, if you want to take a small flyer with the Islanders to win the division or the Flyers, I wouldn't argue with either one. I think they've got the most upside, most young talent that is continuing to improve, continuing to get better. I think Pittsburgh and Washington are your 2 clear-cut favorites to win the Metro Division, but I think the Islanders and the Flyers, at a better price, they might be worth dark horse looks in terms of a small flyer and a small wager to win the Metropolitan Division. The only 2 teams really I would consider to win the East, though, out of this division, still Pittsburgh and Washington. Washington continues to have problems winning these big playoff games, though I'm not really crazy about, especially at the current price, to bet Washington to win the East or the Stanley Cup. We've been waiting for this for so long from them to finally get over that hump. We thought last year would be that time for the Washington Capitals to finally get to an East final, win an East final, and go to the Stanley Cup final. And it just did not happen for the Capitals once again. As Pittsburgh got hot, Pittsburgh got Matt Murray playing tremendous hockey. Their young, speedy team just was too fast for Washington and too fast for obviously everyone they played from that point on, as they ended up going all the way and winning the Stanley Cup. But there's only so many times Washington can make a believer out of me, and I'm going to have to see it now before I believe it. I'd be more inclined to look Pittsburgh to win the division, or one of the dark horse options, Islanders or the Flyers, to win the Metropolitan Division over Washington, to be honest with you. Washington's going to be great again, no question about that. Lots of experience. Ovechkin, Braden Holtby, another top-tier goaltender. I think he's proven that now in his career, but these playoff stumbles just keep happening for the Capitals, and I'm at the point now where I got to see it before I can believe it when it comes to the Washington Capitals. So in the Metro Division, I think Pittsburgh wins the division, but if you're going to look at a dark horse contender, look at the New York Islanders and look at the Philadelphia Flyers. Some will say the New York Rangers. I think New York Rangers are going down a bit this season. Henrik Lundqvist getting a bit older. I don't like the fact they lost Derek Brassard. I don't know if that trade with Ottawa for Zibanejad was a good one. I don't think it is going to be a good one for the New York Rangers. I don't think that team is going to be as good this season. I think they take a step back. I really think it's Pittsburgh, Washington, your 2 favorites in the Metro. The dark horse shot to win this division. Maybe you look toward the Islanders or you look toward the Philadelphia Flyers, who, again, the Flyers, second half of the season, played very good hockey and may be able to carry that over into the new season. All right, that is my look at Eastern Conference NHL futures for the upcoming season.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.